bebop prose. Kaddish is walking with a limp. I rang Mum and she says to massage it, so I do. Kaddish seems to have pain when I move her leg. Mum brings a girl around who wants to be a vet, then goes to Woolies to get a thermometer. Her temp is normal. Kaddish is sad. The light fades from the window. Hi, Carl, how are you, says Cleo. Kaddish is sick, she's limping. Her leg is very sore. Well, just keep an eye on it, it's the weekend. You don't need to call a vet, it's not an emergency. By the time the weekend is over, all 4 of her legs hurt. I'll cut myself if anything happens to Kaddish. I slide monotone to my sister in phone world, and she sheds tears, so I got to act like I'm well. Kaddish was the prettiest dog who knew a lot of words. She had eyes like Cleopatra. Quiet and scared, she never made a noise unless someone came to the door. Every time it was me at the door, no sound. On entering, I would see Kaddish bent in a U-shape, tail wagging fast and low, head down. The dark lines and highlights moving around on her coat gave her an aura of divinity. She was such a caring dog that when our cat had kittens, she laid with them, and I checked, and Kaddish was lactating, and the kittens were suckling. So I'd walk in saying, pretty little Kaddish, Kaddish the pretty dog. How's Kaddish the pretty dog today? And then she'd lick me on the nose, and I'd pat her saying, good girl, good girl. Kaddish was loyal. She'd lay at the shower door waiting for me. She'd sleep on my bed. Sometimes lately she'd go out and sleep on the armchair. I didn't want her to leave my side and she was happy. And sometimes we'd just sit at opposite ends of the room, just a Kaddishing about. She knew a lot of words. If you said outside, she would go outside. If you asked, do you want to go outside? Well, if she needed to, she'd go out. If not, she'd lick you on the face. She understood down, and do you want to go for a walk? Every time I asked what she was thinking, she'd lick me on the face. Kaddish was weird and friendly, but not really socialised, so she didn't quite know how to act in front of other dogs. Her hair would stand up on her neck, down the shoulder blades, on her back to the bum. She'd come up to you for a pat, and you'd pat her on the head, and she'd turn around facing a rump at you because all she really wanted was a scratch on the bum. Her eyeliner went back almost to her dark ears, which were usually back as opposed to pricked up. Although she did look good with her ears pricked up, I always remembered her timid, sad, loving and pretty look, that heartfelt look, and the coat that wasn't one stable colour. It could look brown, it could look tan, but she was pretty and loved a scratch on the belly. Kaddish didn't like it when you went to the kitchen, especially if you opened the fridge, and if the smoke detector went off, her heart would pound, and she'd find something to get under. That was a good way to tell if she was upset. She'd get underneath something. I pet her and hugged her and kissed her every day, telling her she was a good girl. Now she won't be there to lick me on the face, put her head on my knee for me to kiss. Kaddish slept on my single bed with me at night. Kaddish turned everything on and kept it activated. Instead of shutting down completely, I thought I would have another 10 years. When I took her home from the pet shop, I had to carry her most of the way because she was so scared she was wetting herself. When I took her for walks, she'd freak if the pattern in the concrete changed, or if we walked by a corrugated iron fence, she'd freak. She was a scared dog, 5 months old when we got her. She had a melancholy temperament. I think what we're dealing with here is distemper, says the vet. So is there pills or a needle she'll be able to have? Asked my sister in tears. The vet says no. I ask, is she going to be all right? No, not really, is the vet's scientific data. Is Carl going to have to make a decision? Asked my sister. Yes, says the vet. I bury my face in Kaddish's howling. I just want to keep her for one more day. I got out looking up. She's suffering, says the vet's pretty assistant. My mother went out in tears. We'll give you a moment to say goodbye. The vet and his assistant go out. I should have been rubbing her belly and kissing her head when the green stuff went in. The first needle was a sedative. She was relaxed. I pet her, held her, kissed her. Then the green stuff. I pet her lying on her side. I can't remember what the nurse said. Her eyes were still open. I hold her crying. She's limp in my arms. She's dead, I emphasise. Somebody speaks. I howl. My soul crying out. Lungs loud. A flow of tears blow the world in sorrow. I'll never love again the way I loved Kaddish. Out the front of the vet's, Mum says something. She's dead, I howl a response. An old lady says, it's all right, she'll be in heaven now. What a load of crap. She's in the collective unconscious. Mum drives me home, my sister asking if I was going to do anything like I talked about on the phone. No, I cry mechanically. Mum drives me to the supermarket so I can get some beer first. On the phone to Lee. Hello? Kaddish got distemper and had to be put to sleep, I howl. Oh no, not Kaddish, not now. She had the trial on. I grab my stash and my mother drives me to Lee's. She hands me a loaded bong and I shoot it into my lungs. I toss my food cones and stash in for the mix. Overcome with grief, I break down and cry into my hands periodically. I can't help but to howl.